Hello, friends of Athena's Palace. Pardon my throat today. I've got a little bit of a gravelly throat, so my voice is a little odd. Today is March 15th, 2023, and I'm still coming to you from the mid-Atlantic Ocean aboard a cruise ship. And today, this week, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, there are a whole bunch of aspects going on in our cosmos with the planets, and that probably the biggest of these is the conjunction, a triple conjunction between Mercury, Neptune, and the Sun. So we also have several squares going on with these three planets to Mars and Gemini. So these three planets are in Pisces, and they're over the next 2-3 days they're going to be squaring that Mars in Gemini, which has been a big part of our astrology the last few months, as Mars has been in Gemini since, I believe, October, and we had a big retrograde of Mars, and, you know, there was a lot of squares going on with Neptune during that, and it seemed to me an appropriate time to talk about how the world is dealing with the water resources, because water is really something I care deeply about. And one of the things that is kind of in sync with this triple conjunction is ideas about water and policies related to water. So I wanted to kind of review what I found out with you quickly about the current policies that are going on in the world. The European Commission has a mission to restore oceans and waters by 2030. And there was an ocean biodiversity global agreement made for the protection and sustainable use of resources and biodiversity in the high seas. That occurred on March 4th, 2023. It's a new treaty that will allow and establish large-scale marine protected areas in the high seas, including 30% of the oceans by 2030. 52 countries were involved in the treaty. The EU has pledged 40 million euros, and they're asking the other countries to also pitch in for this effort. Right now, 2/3 of the world's oceans are beyond national jurisdiction. So the treaty only covers 1/3, but hey, we'll take half if we can get it at this point. Any kind of regulation for these waters would be welcome. These oceans resources are under increasing pressure from pollution, over-exploration, exploitation, climate change, and biodiversity. So that's a really big occurrence that happened this month, and really highlights what the meaning of this triple conjunction could be. So I love that. Also on March 22nd, 2023, the UN will hold the 23rd annual Water Day, highlighting the importance of water to humanity. So they've set sustainable development goals back in 2015, yet this is the first time that clean water and sanitation will be the focus of the meetings. The Paris Agreement of 2015 has now, for the first time, incorporated climate change adaptation to, and given it the same importance as climate change mitigation. So mitigation actions can use vast amounts of water resources, and these mitigation measures have further limited regional water resources. So key adaptations to combat climate change would include things like retaining water in forests, wetlands and artificial storage facilities, improving soil and water management in rain-fed agriculture, and flood protection. So those are all great things that kind of sync up with the issues that have been coming up with our climate. Now, within the USA, in 2022, the US EPA celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act, and in 2022, $50 billion was allocated through the bipartisan infrastructure law to strengthen the nature's drinking water, stormwater, and wastewater systems. So priorities included to address and mitigate the effects of climate change include investing in water infrastructure and accelerating progress to address the per and polyfluoroalkyl substances known as PFAS. And these are, I'm familiar with these from my consulting work with the military. The PFAS are fluorinated compounds that were used primarily, a lot of them come from firefighting foams, and they have the ability to go into solution or to go into the water very easily, and they can, because they're dissolving into the water and not clinging to the soil particles, they can travel vast distances very quickly, and they're threatening our water supply, particularly in the large aquifers that are not deep. So this is really bad because, you know, there are ways for that water to get further on down to the drinking water, but it's a huge problem. And these water plumes that include these PFAS are very vast, and the concentrations aren't necessarily super high. So it's really hard to do cleanup on those. So, you know, it's kind of, it's so unfortunate that with the Superfund work that's been done over the decades, you know, the military was coming close to having a lot of its sites completed when the PFAS came to light. And the reason it hadn't come to light previously is because of the method levels of detection for them are much lower, and they didn't have analytical methods that could allow people to detect them until just the last few years. So the Superfund sites are having to go back and redo their characterizations, and some of these projects take up to 30 years to complete, and the remediation options for PFAS are very limited because, you know, they haven't been addressing this for that long, and for the issue of the lower concentrations that are involved, but they're very toxic. So even though they're lower concentrations, they're toxic to humans. So this is a huge problem for our future, and we all need to come together and support this and pray for our water every chance we get. It's very important. So with that, I'm going to end this video, and thank you for coming and watching another video with Athena's Palace. I really appreciate it, and I thank you for your likes and your subscribes as I do more astrology videos in the coming days. Take care.